Okay.
You know,
Roll them.
Ready?
Roll them.
Okay.
we are. That's not where I was going with that, but that's all right. How are you?
This is the first time we've all been here for a while.
We are family.
We are family. Welcome back, Britt Bowl.
Thanks.
Yeah. How you feeling?
I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when you go away for a while, whether on vacation or whatever, sometimes you come back and you're like, I think I need a vacation from my vacation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you did. You needed another 3 days. So.
There we go. Yeah.
Wouldn't necessarily call that a vacation because
No.
when you have the thing in your brain that you're like, oh great, yes I'm off, yes I can relax, but I know what's coming up next.
Yeah.
I know what's coming. I know what's waiting for me. It can be daunting.
It was smooth as butter.
I think we did a pretty good job of covering things, but let me go ahead and give credit where credit's due.
She had it all laid out.
She had
It
an
was
entire
great.
blueprint.
that I just followed to the T.
Yes,
Just
you
went,
did.
Check, check, check,
Yeah.
check.
So even
I
when
headed this. You cannot mess this up.
yeah.
Yeah, it was idiot proof.
Yes.
I proved
Oh,
it.
give him a
So,
chance. Give him a chance.
I didn't know. It was all.
So even
nailed
when
it.
she's not here momming, she is momming from afar. You did a fantastic job. I hope you got some downtime.
I did.
Good.
So my family and I traveled to St. Thomas.
Gorgeous.
It was amazing. We got to spend a lot of time there, relaxing on all the different beaches. There's so many. My daughter had it like marked out that she was going to visit 11 beaches out of the 30. I
Yeah.
think we got to 4.
Yeah.
We found our favorite, stayed there. I read books. It was the first time I've got to read, like fiction books.
Yeah,
not
cover to
news.
cover. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really nice.
That's a nice escape. You
Yep.
guys, I was watching your snaps. Now, I went to St. Thomas before, but lived an entirely different St. Thomas life than you when you were going, because you guys did, basically, you lived it like you
Yes.
were living there.
Yes, we rented a car. They drive on the right side or the left side of the road, and they say you drive on the left and you drink till you're right.
Yes.
Is the saying
Yeah.
there. And those roads were like, okay, so if I could describe it, it's, nothing from around here. Maybe the Hannibal Hills mixed with, it's like Parker Heights.
Yeah.
Getting up there.
Pecker's Knob.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say, but I figured you'd cover that one.
for sure.
That's
how everybody knew it.
It's like that, but mixed with the War of Benghazi or something.
It's
know,
very
it's-
daunting.
It's like you could just drop right off any second. Luckily, I was a passenger princess the whole time.
Thanks,
and-
Mike.
Yeah, but at the same time, freaking out because I hate heights.
Yeah.
But he'd be like, look out and look at the view. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
Or, as I'm also navigating too, and that's the other thing, the maps don't because the roads are just crazy there. So one wrong turn and you're like 30 more minutes for your trip.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time
Or off a
driving.
That's all right.
Or off a cliff, yeah. I saw a sea turtle. I didn't, I don't know. I'm not one to really,
You didn't kidnap it.
no.
Admire your,
I don't like sticking my head under the water.
sure.
My daughter
don't
is
either.
like a mermaid, though. She was out there swimming with them, and
Loving life.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
loving it. And
She's a beach girl.
she really is.
Yeah.
It was like she was home. Everyone was happy. It was a good time. But I was happy to get back as well
Yeah.
because I missed my dogs. I miss home. I like being in the comfort of knowing what's around me. But at the same time, it was nice traveling outside, and it was like a worldly experience. Even though the Virgin Islands are, in America, there is definitely lots of culture there that wouldn't be considered, I don't think, our culture.
Yeah. It's outside of the norm, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. But it's
Did
beautiful.
you do an 8-point travel log while you were there?
I did not. I did not do.
well.
And that's the other thing.
She can't write it off now.
No,
I was waiting for road trips with Britt, but
I
never.
did that, and I wish I would have taken more pictures. I kept saying to myself, "Oh, I'm going to take a picture of that when we get back." And
But that means you're living in the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah. It's like when you go to a ball game and all the people have their cameras out. It's just like when Albert
Or a
Pujols was
concert.
hitting home run 702 or whatever. I'm like, I'm just gonna sit here and watch him hit. Same we were at Sammy Hagar concert the other night. I'm like, I think we took a couple of videos, a couple pictures. I'm like, no, I just want to watch Sammy.
Yeah.
It's like, just it.
Yeah.
I saw there were a couple of concerts while I was away, but I saw them all via Snapchat
Yeah.
because there are some people like
Yeah.
that they will they will record.
You can look
the
up and see the
whole
teeny tiny
thing.
dots, and you're like, oh boy,
Oh,
they
this is
recorded the whole
whole
thing.
concert. I mean,
Just don't get
Why don't you just stay home and watch it? Because you're watching it through your phone.
yeah, that's what I don't get,
Yeah.
because it's like you have to focus on both.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it was a really good time, and it looked
Good.
like you guys had a lot of things happen while I was away.
Yeah.
busy.
News never stops, baby.
Yeah.
The gizzards went up in flames.
Yeah.
That's pretty
24th
sad.
is
That's
spring
very
now,
sad.
So that's fine. That's actually closer for me to go get them, so that's good.
I heard a little bit of your Club Muddy where Mr. Booth told us that we should accept 4 inches of pipe
Yeah.
as acceptable.
Yeah. Which, never acceptable
Use a
in
cone.
any. Yeah, but
In that reference, that was what everyone saw on Facebook, the pipe sticking out.
Yeah.
That was incredible. I got some messages from some people. I think I called you. I was on the beach, or actually I was waking up and I'm like, I can't believe I'm reading about Hannibal City Council news right now while I'm on the beach. But I mean,
It's hard to escape.
It did.
Yeah.
I had to check that one out. And so, yeah, lots of interesting things still. I can't really turn it off completely.
Yeah, I mean, that's human, I think, but it is nice to get away. Also really nice to come home and kind of get back in the swing of things.
Yeah.
We're lucky to have both, I think. The freedom to be able to go and explore and come home and still enjoy our lives.
And speaking of freedom, that brings us to our next subject,
All right.
which I think I want to discuss the World Cup.
Okay.
And I saw a lot of the World Cup, while I was away, but something that registered with me, the freedom that we have as Americans to root for who we want to root for.
Yeah.
So soccer culture is just different in different countries. And we as Americans, we can, we appreciate the people rather than the team sometimes. We idolize players. For
Yeah.
example, we used to idolize David Beckham. Now all the talk is Messi. Considered to be possibly the greatest soccer player of all time. So yeah, I can see why we idolize people. Countries idolize their country's team. They stick with their country's team. But Americans, we do have the freedom to root for whoever. So you'll see a lot of Americans with, the Messi or Argentina jersey on.
Yeah.
You're not going to see Brazilians with the Argentina jersey on.
No,
Yeah.
last week, Chrissy and her son were lucky enough to go to Kansas City and watch that Argentina game. And yeah, they had their Messi jerseys, and they were there with other friends, and they all had their Messi jerseys, and along with the 75,000 people in Kansas City watching that game. So that was pretty cool.
You said it earlier. It's like here, it's an admiration versus in other countries, it's more of
An allegiance.
an allegiance. Yeah, I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also don't know anything about soccer.
It is life in other countries. I think for America, it is newer. So I think Americans right now are just now learning the traditions of tailgating and watching soccer together as a group. I think even just here locally, having the St. Louis team,
Yeah.
you've noticed that, having pubs and just gatherings.
Watch parties.
There are pubs.
Yeah.
There are soccer pubs in St. Louis, because you can watch the English Premier League, and there are pubs there that every Saturday or Sunday or whatever, you can just go there at 8 in the morning and start drinking Guinness and watching soccer.
Yeah.
And they'll do that to some extent, and of course we have done that with American football forever. We all go and want to watch. Either we're going to watch at our house, or we're going to go
Sure.
maybe watch it at a bar or whatever. And then of course everybody goes and has Super Bowl parties. I think with soccer, there's I listen to the Men in Blazers podcast with Roger Bennett, who is an Englishman who's moved to America, and he just is very knowledgeable, and he's a lot of fun to listen to. He's a great podcast host. And but one of the things that came up was with soccer in America. It's soccer, America's sport of the future since 1972. Everybody has said that soccer's going to take over, and our best athletes still play football, and our best athletes still play basketball. Soccer's number 3, though. Soccer surpassed baseball when you look at the whole popularity thing now. So it has come a long way from them. Will it ever top the other big two sports in our country? I don't know, but it's a lot of fun, and we have better athletes playing now, although our best athletes still do play those other two sports. But still, our team is really good this year. The American team is more of an attacking team. They used to be the Americans always wanted to play more defense on the national level, but this team is a little more, they're a little more aggressive, a little more offensive. So, they're going to make it to the next round, which is great. How much farther they will make it, who knows?
Yeah.
But, they've been great so far. As this airs Friday morning, they played last night. So, of course, and a lot of people will be watching it, and people are excited about it. And if some miracle they make it deep, then people are going to go nuts. So, and that's great, and that's a good thing. I'd rather kids look. If the kid's not going to play football, baseball, basketball, whatever, great, play soccer. Just do whatever to get off your switches or your twitches or your whatevers,
But speaking of switches and twitches and social media, let's say, so I admittedly, like I said, I don't know anything about soccer, but a lot of the social media, topics surrounding the World Cup are positive and in a way that I can get behind. Yeah. So what I understand, and again, I don't know firsthand, so I could be totally off the rocker here, which isn't anything new, but everybody's saying that from other countries, America is portrayed through propaganda, no doubt, as just an awful place with terrible leadership and awful people. The World Cup, since everyone's coming here or, around, they're learning that we're not as bad as we're being made out to be. So some guy even went as far to say the World Cup is uniting the world.
Guys thought they were expecting to get off the plane and be met by ICE agents. Yeah. Some of the guys said that, and obviously that didn't happen. So no, it's been a good experience. And you were talking about how foreigners like American food.
One other thing I want to touch on, though, I think America's one of their secret superpowers that we don't talk about is our hospitality. Yeah. Like you said, propaganda makes it appear like we're not welcoming, but when we do have people from foreign countries here, I know anybody that ever visits the bar, I'm intrigued. Sure. I want to know your story. Yeah. And I think a lot of people that are visiting America are witnessing that hospitality, and they're going back to social media and saying these things and saying, my bartender was interested in me, my server wanted to recommend this giant plate of food. Yeah. So that's where he was talking about, it's kind of a joke because they're all like, these portions here are just enormous.
Chicken fried steak, blimey,
I mean,
good stuff.
Those GLP-1s don't exist for no reason, baby.
I want to push back on something you said about the soccer and how our greatest athletes play these other sports. Mm-hmm. You can't really measure the athlete if you're comparing different sports, because within soccer you're running, it's all about consistent running. You're running at least 6 miles a game, I think is like the average or something like that, and so it's agility, whereas football, you're thinking more strength and power. So like when you say like athleticism, it's hard to measure that because it's measurement that.
Which do you think could play? I have a question.
There's also, but basketball's the same way though. You're constantly running in basketball.
Yeah.
And you need strength, but it's just like you need different things. I'm just.
Don't you think LeBron James will be a hell of a soccer player?
I was just going to ask that. Do you think that?
I think he'd be. Yeah.
No, my question is more football versus American football, right? So do you think that? Let's say, any football player would be more apt to be a good soccer player or vice versa?
I think, if you're talking skilled players, wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, some quarterbacks would be excellent soccer players. And I think a lot of soccer players could also be very excellent skilled players in the NFL. The difference in football in American football is the offensive and defensive lines, where these guys are these mammoth 150-pound guys who just block and knock people over. Yeah. So I think you're talking about skill position. I think basketball is the more comparable thing there because, again, you take a guy like LeBron James and you take, any of these other great NBA players. And you've also had some in the past, like Hakeem Olajuwon was a Hall of Fame basketball player, grew up in, I can't remember. He came from an African country, and he was a soccer goalie. He was 7 foot. So, hey, boop, boop, boop. He was a great goalie.
So if a baseball player.
If a soccer player
he was an okay baseball
player. A soccer player got out on the football field, the game would take a lot longer for all the.
One of the toughest things to do in sports is to hit a pitch. That still takes a lot of hand-eye coordination, all that stuff.
I can't do any of it.
Really hard.
But I do have a couple of interesting facts about it. So one, it's the largest World Cup ever. Mm-hmm. It involves 3 countries for the first time: Canada, Mexico, United States. The games played are more because of the size of it, right? So then the elimination is different. All these things I learned just through a simple Google, because I was like, I don't want to show up to this conversation with nothing to offer.
Said, Google, tell me all about the World Cup.
Something a little different also in regards to those sports in soccer. We have college level sports that follow that. We also do fantasy football. We do all these, or fantasy, I guess, sports in general. As Americans, we take those sports and we hype them up. So like when people said soccer is going to take over, I think in a marketing aspect, we're eventually going to take that sport and do the same things that we did with the other. You'll see fantasy leagues like that.
I'm sure there are EPL and MLS fantasy soccer leagues. I'm sure there are.
I'm just saying it'll heighten after all of this.
It'll all be DraftKings, FanDuel, depends on how. I know.
I've been making bank.
I know you have.
That's in World Cup and also some baseball bets. And Shane's really mad at me because I'm winning a lot. And Shane's like, "You're just lucky."
Yeah.
All right, dude.
Call it what you will.
That's right.
A winner is a winner.
Yeah. So.
Well, I think America's a winner on this.
Yeah, I would agree. Great way to sum that up. 100%.
And we will take a break and talk about something a little closer to home.
On this month's Muddy River Gem, brought to you by Dot Foods. Have you heard of Carnegie organs? Well, you're about to. Join us.
That has been a pure joy, and also to remind people of the treasure that they have. What happens? People hear that difference of sound, and they have a connection to something so immediate.
That's coming up on the next Muddy River Gem, brought to you by Dot Foods.
That's where we start.
Carousel.
Parasite, it is.
You're so
Carousel,
worldly.
I'm really not.
No.
I just know where I place my bets.
It's that blue stuff you put into margaritas.
Carousel.
Oh yeah.
Wabaritas from the Abbey. Hey.
Cabo Wabo.
Cabo Wabo.
Yeah.
Blue Carousel. Good stuff.
That is good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about the World Cup and other things earlier, and Brittany's
travel.
going abroad, and now it's time to come back home and talk about the story that'll never end, and the PE teachers at Denman who have been suspended by the state, but we don't know if they're still going to come back. We do know they're not going to return to Denman because the school district has hired 2 new PE teachers.
So we can't call it the Denman debacle anymore.
Well, it's their
They're not
leftover
coming
debacle.
back?
They won't be at Denman.
Okay.
Denman has 2 new PE teachers. So, should the 2 teachers who have been suspended and have their licenses suspended and got paid last year to not work, we still don't know if they're going to come back. But if they do, they will not be at Denman.
Could you pay me for a year of not working?
I feel like I do already.
Not that I want this hanging over my head, but I just am. So the school board said they would handle things differently in the future, which obviously does.
Yay.
But
Good job by you.
it's kind of a day late and a dollar short, and I have always said I have a different opinion about some things about this case. Obviously, I was just raised in a different time. I'm not saying that anything's right. I'm not saying blah, 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 blah. Anyway, but the fact of the matter is there was an investigation. Yeah. As far as I recall, there was no criminal findings. It was more about inappropriate behavior. Now, online, inappropriate behavior is being called grooming. And when you hear that word, it's a very impactful word. And I don't know that was their intention, but when you watch the videos or you hear, I haven't watched the videos yet, but when you hear from people who watch the videos, it looks very damning.
But my problem was the DCFS report, the initial DCFS report, the 2 teachers acknowledged their actions. Mm-hmm. But then when they went to ISB, they backtracked.
Illinois State Board of Education.
Yes, yeah. and DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services. And now we've got the second DCFS report that has come out that one of the parents talked about at the school board meeting and basically said, yeah, I mean, where you had the video where you said, yeah, you had these actions showing these teachers doing these things. So, and apparently the school board was not aware of the second one because they approached the mother last night and said, oh, we'd like to have that report. And she's like, well, I want to redact it and do some stuff. I'm not going to just give you this report. And why don't you have this report anyway already?
Yeah, that's
Was that a police report?
No, that was the DCFS report.
But where it was a
There
police?
has been a police report filed, yes.
And was that presented at the meeting last
I do
night?
not recall if
Okay.
it was. I read Michelle's story, edited Michelle's story, great story, very thorough. And,
was a great story.
But no, I just know that the two parents who spoke up have been ones who have been very passionate and adamant about this and really put themselves out there. And I think when you look at in the situation in its totality and the number of Denman Elementary is going through a lot of transition. Lots of teachers left. And we've got a lot of new teachers coming in. Some retired, some left, so there's a lot of changes there. And I just hope that coming into this year, especially with the fact that those PE teachers will not be there, I'm hoping they can move on at some point. And but if you're going to move on, you still have to have some closure, and there still has to be a little more acknowledgement by the school board that something has been done.
And maybe by the PE teachers and the administration to say, yeah, we'll do things differently, but maybe we handled it incorrectly. Not, we'll do things differently in the future. We handled it incorrectly. Teachers should say, we've learned we will never do this again.
Well,
this is something that even if they didn't know they were doing something wrong, which I don't necessarily believe that, just a statement of integrity to say, we didn't realize it was going to be this big of a thing. We apologize. It will never happen again. Have they ever made a statement? Are they allowed to make a statement?
Say who?
The teachers.
I think
Sure, they could if they wanted to, but they're not going to.
That is a big thing for me. When you screw up, even in the eyes of people and not so much you think you've done something wrong, admitting to not necessarily how you feel about it, but apologizing how other people feel about things.
To give her some credit, Stephanie Otker did in the initial DCFS report, which she admitted doing it, and then she showed some remorse
Jennifer?
in that. Jennifer, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Stephani's her sister.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Jennifer Otker did that. So she did. Can't speak for the other teacher, but I believe she did. But my thing also is that when you look at this situation and how the school board has handled it from day one, and it seems like the school board was given information that they either didn't listen to or they just ignored or whatever, and then it comes up, other information comes up, and they act like, oh, we didn't know this. That's not good. And I know that's part of the reason that Todd Pettit's no longer our superintendent. And the new superintendent is going to come in, still have to deal with this. And the jury is still out on his ability to do so.
I mean, yeah.
in that story, it said he wasn't wanting to talk to media yet at all.
We did an interview with another media outlet. He didn't do one with us and said he would do it with us after he started next week. That's great. Again, Larry Gray is coming from Decatur. He was an assistant superintendent at Decatur. Decatur just hired a new superintendent. Decatur hired a superintendent who came from the Springfield School District. Larry Gray applied for the Decatur job and did not get the Decatur job. Read into that what you will. And we hired him. So.
Well, but it was also kind of stated, I don't want to say stated, but we're not going to get the cream of the crop. And I think that's kind of the underlying kind of punch to the gut as...
Well, they're saying we're not going to cream the crop because we're cheap and we need to raise our taxes.
But
that's what
also,
they're saying.
but they're saying we have to invest in our schools, but we're dealing with things like this. And, you know...
We just invested $90 million in our schools.
Right. And not only that, but it seems like we're constantly investing in things, not only being asked to attend meetings.
$90 million in schools that have shitty HVAC systems and have goofed up windows and have lots of issues because they went cheap and tried to build smaller schools after they initially did.
There's only so many times you're willing to fork out money to an institution or even a person who is taking that money and blowing it on things that aren't really that important. Because when we talk about schools, okay, education, what's most important to you? The safety of your children and the education that they're getting. What it seems like we're getting is bupkis. And I don't want to say bupkis like all the way around, but it seems like there are lots of things that we're talking about, none of them being great test scores, none of them being great things about how safe and comfortable our kids feel, none of them being how appreciated and paid our teachers and
I'm
it
the only
seems like we're
one
bass
old
backwards.
enough at this table to have 3 kids who have graduated from Quincy High School and have now graduated from college, and they're Quincy Public Schools experience was great.
Yeah, mine too.
And-
It's also different.
And it was different.
It's a different
yes.
time. That's what I'm
but
saying.
they
I was raised in a different
so again,
time.
now I
Mine
can't
was
speak
great.
for that.
Yeah.
Mine was great, and it set me up for the future. But now they're not doing this now.
What Ashley
You're
can
worried
remember of
about-
hers was great.
Well, no, so I'm talking like elementary school. You had teachers that were invested in you. You graduated elementary school with a fond love for your teachers, and you remember their names. You remember their faces. When you see them out in Quincy, you admire them. You want to talk to them. You loved your experience. I don't know what has changed. And I'm not saying it's the teachers, because I know that, Claire and Nora still see their teachers and have admiration for them. But there's something going on like in this weird zeitgeist that's like things just aren't happening the way that they could.
Well, I think it's the pressure from like just the system altogether. Like the teachers had time to invest the love and care in their students, and now you're expected to do a checklist of things.
You think it's
in
more
order-
political?
Yeah, in order
Yeah.
to get your funding. They have to worry about this checklist
Yeah.
instead of the focus, which is teaching the children.
The children.
Teaching to tests
Yeah.
too.
And that's
Yeah.
it's just the system itself has changed completely. We rely so much on the funding that we get from the state, from those test scores,
Yeah.
that's the focus, and the focus is not the safety and education of our children. I do want to ask, in the future, if you say we're going to do better, maybe just clearly put out in the handbook, no teacher will touch a student. I thought that was already there, that you couldn't lay hands on a student.
Well, there's a lot of rules in all the handbooks about student decorum, about how families are supposed to act,
Yeah.
about how parents are supposed to talk to their children. There's the mental health thing that's been circulating. Like, well, are you holding the teachers and support personnel to the same standards? And where are those clauses in these handbooks that they should have known that this is unacceptable? And whose fault is that? I'm not saying it. I'm not.
I mean, is there a change in the handbook this year? That's a real question.
Yeah.
You would think we would change this ASAP.
I would think that it would have been immediate. I don't have that answer, but I definitely think that this is an opportunity to learn and do better. And I really hope that our school board and administration take heed and make those changes. Also, they have all these teacher institutes and they do all these things to like encourage their growth. And I don't know what goes on in them, but maybe make one of those, seminars, how you interact with your students, what's acceptable, what's not, especially in today's world that maybe people grew up in my time that are now teachers and they don't know what's acceptable or what's not.
But
And that's a kind of a cop-out. But I know that it's not acceptable to lay hands on a child.
no, or to let a kid put their hands on your butt either.
Yeah.
That's not cool, and that should not have
Pretty
happened.
weird.
And for that to have happened, and again, I don't know why that wasn't an automatic. You're done. And to say, oh well, the union's going to protect them. We had a softball coach who put out a tweet
Yeah.
that he was pissed off,
Yeah.
and then he gets fired.
Yeah.
Now
Swiftly.
he's part-time and
Swiftly.
not covered by the union, so I get that. And so they felt they could do that, but because they're afraid of the union or whatever,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, you have a tort fund for a reason.
But
so if you're going to get sued and go with it.
It
and
just
let 'em
goes
sue ya.
to show that it's about politics and not necessarily the right and the wrong.
Well, that's also probably why they haven't made an apology too.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Because
if,
you're admitting, and then the parents are like, okay.
and not only that, but if you admit, then the school board has the right to completely remove you. Whereas right now they're kind of
But they
still,
already did admit it in the first
but
report.
they're still in
so
limbo right now, where they could be rehired, and if the school board doesn't rehire them, then they might have a lawsuit on their
Yeah.
hands, and that's why the school board is probably trying to play it safe.
yeah.
Is playing it safe, playing it sorry for the rest of us, though.
I think playing it safe is going to be it's not going to bode well for them come re-election. I mean, because playing it safe is also just covering your bases and, again, not looking out for the safety of your
And
students.
again, how many of you will even bother re-election? I mean, they're going to look and say, gosh, they can run again? That's another question.
Yeah.
What is, okay, so those.
Next spring.
And those seats don't all,
No, they do 4 and 3. They split them up.
So-
And I don't know what the rotation is.
I think next spring would be
Shelley,
4.
yeah, but I think Shelley Arns is up. But I'm not sure who the other ones are.
And she's no longer speaking on the subject matter.
Well, here's what I'll say. As far as I've said it before, they have a really tough job as individuals. I can't picture myself in that position making the best choice all the time because I do know that there are outside influences. I know that there's probably encouragement to do one thing or another based on politics. It's probably really, really hard to stand behind your convictions in a setting where you feel like you don't really have a choice. But that's what we need, is somebody to go in and say, I don't care about your funding until we figure out the safety of things. I don't care about...
We've had micromanaging school boards in the past that people haven't liked. School boards that had to decide, were trying to decide what books were going to be in libraries. And then, of course, we've had school boards who decided to fire Hall of Fame basketball coaches who went on to win state titles at Moline and watch the Quincy basketball program be okay. So we've had school boards who have meddled and school boards who have probably extended their reach. But this school board does not seem to be doing that. This is not even, I mean, there's micromanaging, there's macromanaging, and there's not managing. And I'm just not sure where the school board is right now.
The thing about people putting themselves out there, and it is a tough job, I would think, after this, you would think a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not doing it. I've had a lot of people reach out to me already and say, Brittany, I plan on running, what are your thoughts on this?
I think that's great.
So I think it did just do quite the opposite for us as a community. Instead of scaring people away, I think this actually drew people towards
Getting people engaged.
possibly wanting to get
You've
involved
also
here.
had some people who have decided they're not going to the Quincy Public Schools and are going to go parochial.
Or homeschool, which
Homeschool.
has become more and more
Will they be able to
popular.
put out those numbers? Will you be able to see how many students left the public
I mean, you'll
school?
see the enrollment numbers next fall. You can't, it's tough to
Well, we could
discern.
also,
It's tough to discern what all of the pinpointed reasons
because
are.
now there's the Quincy homeschooling.
Yeah.
yeah,
and
and then of course
so
there's
many other
There's
things.
St. James K through 8. There's all the Catholic parochials from
Olmus
K through 12. There's
Academy.
Olmus. There's Quincy Montessori still a thing.
That's the good thing, though, that there are options. They're not all appropriate or doable by everyone in Quincy. So we do still need to rely on an efficient and safe and effective public school system. I'm not sure how I don't know how you get back to the grassroots of education versus obedience and funding. But I think we need to focus on that. That should be whoever comes in needs to focus on how do we teach children the best? Because obviously I've had so many conversations with people about this, and it's like we're teaching every student the same. We're calling for obedience for students who aren't meant to sit in a chair 8 hours, whatever many hours it is a day. We're teaching students who, like teaching a fish to climb a tree. You know what I mean? I mean, it just doesn't fit. So we as a society, and not just in Quincy, need to get better at creating an environment that is good for students on a case-by-case basis.
But again, I think you're married to an exceptional teacher. I'm married to an exceptional teacher. There are many, many exceptional teachers. in this
100%.
district. But then those teachers do their jobs. They go, let's go to work. Let's do the best thing we can for the kids. Again, I think that what happened in Denman was the exception rather than the rule.
Yeah, I agree.
100%.
I agree. So I don't want it to taint the whole system.
You still have to take care of the exception.
But you have to. But then what happens when you have two people that may be the exception to the rule? Then you have the administration that's handling it wrong. Then you put them under a microscope, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that yes, there are phenomenal teachers, and this is the exception to the rule. But it did put the spotlight on an issue that I don't think is new, and that is an administration that gets paid a lot of money. I'm not talking about school board, but the administration, right? Get paid a lot of money, but yet we're not getting the cream of the crop because we're not paying enough. But it just seems like very bass backwards.
But
So how do we get better? What are the solutions?
But you can't, again.
A 1% referendum.
But again,
That's what I was gonna say, but then you
have this education rate that is the smallest in our schools that are our size, that the $1.84 or whatever it is that hasn't raised since whatever. The problem is that the school, this district, this community did pass a major tax bill to build new schools. And that went, okay, I mean, I'm glad we had the schools, but those schools had a lot of issues. You're not gonna get people to support, especially on the heels of this, you're not going to get people to support another referendum. It's just not. They tried another one after that, and it failed. Then you're going to try another one, it's not going to pass. And
well, they said that the numbers were staggering that people support it.
they say yes, we want good schools, but no, I don't want to pay any more taxes.
Yeah, no one-
the Quincy School District is already 60% of your tax bill. People
Yeah.
are not going to want to pay more. It's
don't-
not going to happen.
Like, I mean, I guess it was before I was really paying attention too much with the whole, when we switched over to the new schools. But so the old schools were condemned.
I mean, they were being dilapidated. I mean, they're dilapidated buildings.
But now look at them. They're all being renovated. They're all those schools are still used
They need
for things.
HVACs. They built, you only put one on this side of 18th or 24th Street. All the other schools are on this side of town.
No, she's saying the
I'm
old
saying the old
buildings,
buildings
but
are
those are
all
now
still-
privately owned.
I understand, but like,
You're talking the old buildings?
yeah.
Yeah,
but
so they're still being used.
Yeah,
So
I'm
they
sorry.
were able to be
Adams
fixed.
School, Adams School should still be a school.
Yeah.
That was one where I just never
That's my favorite
understood.
school.
And they tried to say, oh, we'd have to put it, we can't do. No,
I really like
you
getting
had
my
a
massages
city
there.
block there.
Yeah.
You could have put a school there as a real neighborhood school instead of putting them on the outskirts of the community.
Same with, but Madison School, I think that's being.
It's being converted into apartments.
But then
Mary
it's like,
Ann's being converted
but
into
then it
apartments.
brings about like, so then my brain starts working. Then you have, okay, we talked about this before. Before it was like you paid certain property taxes, your children went to those schools, right? Then all of a sudden everything's mixed. Not against that, but it's just another shift that it's like, okay, was it not working before? Because I believe everybody has the
But
right
also
to good
back in the
education.
day, the Spring Lake kids sure as heck weren't going to Washington. The Spring Lake kids went
Right.
to Ellington.
Right.
So
but then you have the houses within these schools that to me seem very taking a step back in time when you're kind of like,
you're not a fan of the Ron Clark system.
I'm definitely not. I think it encourages segregation. It's this student goes here, the white, blue, yellow in junior high. Well, if you're over here, you don't belong over here.
But
It's like, well,
but that's what you were just talking about, tailoring to their education, because that's what that is designed for, is to tailor to their individual learning needs.
right. But there's also a downside to that, which I don't think we've perfected how to tailor, because even if so you have all the so here, okay. When you blend all of the elementary schools, okay, and you have someone from, wherever going to, doesn't matter, blending all the schools, okay, all the students are blended together. Then they go to junior high, okay. The houses in the elementary schools, you still have blended classrooms. I mean, you're not, you're not, I don't know.
It's not based on.
It's not based on your
skill,
intelligence or,
okay.
I mean, there are
It's
some
just for
classes
fun.
that, I think that's how they frame it. Then you go to junior high and it's kind of still split, but you aren't allowed
Junior high
to.
is based on your skill set.
Junior high is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then, and I don't even have a big problem with that. There was an instance where one of the students was over talking to another student and they got reprimanded. I don't like that. Don't like that at all.
Because the yellow kid was talking to a blue kid?
At the
Well,
locker
that's
in the
weird.
wrong section of the school, and it's just like you don't belong. I don't see what it's for. And then going to other schools and seeing them do it.
A little bit, I will say.
I just am not a
Would be a
fan
little
of
bit
it.
is probably part of it is for control.
Yeah.
There is no control. I mean, I don't know.
But has it helped?
I
That's
mean,
my question.
I'm not sure, but I know like that would be the reasoning behind
Yeah.
it. There's reasons like I don't know. I was in the admissions office at junior high picking Mayla up one time, and there were some kids in there that weren't supposed to be in there, and I mean they were reprimanded right away once they figured it out. But that's what I think. 'Cause, I mean, kids will go everywhere. There's just no control over them once you give them an inch of freedom, especially at that age.
Yeah.
So I guess
I don't think it's working, I guess is my thing. And you still have children who are kind of falling through the cracks because they're let's say in elementary school, you have a child who talks a lot, maybe has a slight behavioral thing. They make a name for themselves in the school system, and then they can't escape that. So they're constantly painted in these corners that they're never going to level up. Then you have children who are constantly given, the smaller classrooms, the more strict rules, the stringent things. I mean, it's like, yeah, I get that you're going to encourage these students to continue to do the right thing, but then what about all the other kids? Like, I don't know. I
Like you see
talk
it
out of
fall.
my ass.
No, I get it.
But you
Like
know what I'm
see it-
saying? It doesn't seem like the current systems are working, and it seems like they're instated
No, you're right. I
statewide. So it's like, is there any freedom there, or is it all based on what the state is willing to give us, and what they're willing to give us is based on what they're handing to us, and if we don't abide by what they're handing to us, we don't get that funding. Because I don't like that kind of prisoner mentality that you do what we say because we are relying on
well, I
funding.
think that's where we're at.
I do too, but how do you break that? How do you fix that? Because the current system does not seem to be, it's not building better test scores. It's not building students who are prepared for more freedom in, let's say, like a junior high. I mean, it just is it's a very weird thing.
Yeah, and again, I think that's one thing the new superintendent's really going to come in and have to deal with this. Is
Yeah.
The fact that, and again, the Decatur School District's numbers were, he was trying to justify, the performance where he was in charge of certain programs there, and he's going to have to come in and try to kind of resurrect and build things here. So, I mean, I wish him well, don't get me wrong, but again, I think it's going to be an uphill battle.
It seems an impossible
Hopefully he has
job,
a plan,
right?
and hopefully he'll talk to us about that plan
Well,
at some point in time.
Yeah. I will say, on a positive note, Laura did get chosen for honors math and honors English or language arts, whatever they're calling it now. And she's very excited. So to hear the positivity and somebody recognizing that she's doing great. Now, I'm not saying that those test scores, because I don't know where the bar is. So she tested over the bar, but where's the bar? So that's the question. Like, is she going to be prepared for this, or are they just saying she tested here? So
Yeah.
we're going to set her there. But I think that's positive. That's the silver lining.
I think when you are in those honors classes, you are with a bunch of people that do want to learn.
Yeah.
And
So then you get the
so-
chance to level up.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, we are definitely not
And I
taking
get what you're
advantage of
saying,
this.
where the kids that don't have that, where is their chance?
Yeah.
And it's in their own effort,
It's
to a
not
degree.
just them, it's their parents, but it's
Yeah.
also the environment that they're learning in. And I've seen both sides. When you are a child who thrives on being told that they're doing good things, right? And being like promoted kind of, then they kind of get that Pygmalion effect of what I'm expected to do is what I'm going to achieve. So all the kids who are kind of just shoved in these classrooms because they're this way or another way, how do we promote them to be better?
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, you're here, get used to it. And I think that's kind of what's happening today. And I don't want to say that for a fact because I'm not a teacher, but I do kind of see the writing on the wall there. And I think we can do better.
I would agree.
Sorry. Yeah. That was a long soapbox.
No,
but yeah.
I totally get it, and I would agree with that.
So the
And kudos to the teachers out there that do recognize
Yes,
those
I know.
different skill sets. I
Yeah.
know that Mike has recognized this sometimes, and he'll say, "Hey, you need to move up to honors." Like this.
he did that with Claire. Yeah.
This isn't a challenge for you. Like move up, and that happens.
Yeah, it does. You level up when you're around people who are leveling you up.
Yeah.
When you're expected to do better, you tend to do better. My concern would be the people who don't get that opportunity, the kids who don't get that opportunity. And I think we can do better. And I think that our superintendent has his work cut out for him. I know the school board has their work cut out for him, but got to be up for the challenge or don't run
I
for
think
it.
Claire would do better if you let her have another cat.
Dude, oh my God, I knew you were going to bring that up. Okay, this cat, whoever this weird cat guy is who's doling out these
Cat
little
guy.
cats,
I'm Catman.
these kittens, yeah. I'm coming for you, man, because it's hard enough for me to say no to any animal, but then to have my teenage daughter be so upset because I won't let her have this cat, it has thrown our house into a tailspin, pun intended, because I am
Like tossing chungus.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, I don't need 4 cats, but guess what? I would have them all if I could.
You would.
I would, because I
Don't mind.
have a soft spot for children, the elderly, and animals.